Hello, my name is State Representative Claire Cronin, and I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be with you here today to honor survivors of homicide and victims. First, I want to express my sorrow for the pain you have all been through, your shock, your heartbreak, but I know you are resilient, and I know that there are many wonderful people in our community that are here to support and help you. I want to continue to reach out to members who have been through this. I will continue to support funding for wonderful programs like Life After Death or the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute. These are wonderful organizations that are making a difference in the lives of people who have already been through what is perhaps the greatest and most painful loss of all. So with that, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for the work you're doing, and I want to say that I am here to support you in any way that I can. Thank you. Be blessed.
Hi, I'm State Representative Marjorie Decker. November is a month where across this nation we stop and honor and remember victims who've lost their lives to homicide. I want to say a very special thank you to the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute right here in Massachusetts. They help families across the state work through their grief and do the important work of healing. If you have not had a chance to make a contribution or support this incredibly important work, please consider going to the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute and take time today to remember those who've lost their lives to homicide.
Hello, Louis D. Brown Peace Institute family and friends. My name is State Representative Liz Miranda, and I'm here just to share my gratitude and my love and honor the work that the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute and survivors and our entire survivor community does, not only here in Boston, but the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I've been in office for a little over 19 months, and before my time, when I lost my own brother to gun violence, one of the first places I went was to the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute, and you helped me and my family so very much, and I am forever in gratitude to you all. And I just want to uplift you all and honor the work that you do day in and day out. I have this dual role of serving as a legislator, but also as a survivor, and it's an important voice of beauty, of resilience, of strength that we must take into all the spaces that we occupy. So just want to give you all a shout out and thank you all for what you do day in and day out, because it's not easy. But remembering our loved ones is incredibly important, and making sure that other families have what they need during their time of need is incredibly important. Consider me not only a partner, but a family and a friend, a family member and a friend who will always be there to uplift this community, to share this community, and to ensure that we're doing the right things in the Massachusetts House to support this community.
I'm honored to join the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute this year for Survivors of Homicide Victims Awareness Month. This is a time to remember and lift up the spirits of loved ones that we've lost, as well as to celebrate the survivor community, your strength and resilience and tireless work to prevent violence and to promote healing. And to Toy Burton, Ruth Rollins, and Alexis R. Smith, the Institute's honorees this year, thank you for your countless generous ways that you've supported your communities and advocated for necessary change, especially during this pandemic.
On the occasion of this National Survivors of Homicide Victims Awareness Month, I want to extend my heartfelt support and compassion to all of those who have been impacted by horrific violence. Our survivors are in our hearts each and every day, especially as we approach the upcoming holiday season. Please know that you are not alone and never will be alone. At your side, you have the great people at the wonderful Louis D. Brown Peace Institute to help you, not only in the moment a tragedy strikes, but also in its aftermath. Tragically, when a homicide is perpetrated, there is a ripple effect that touches all of our lives. Therefore, as always, I am proud to stand with each and every courageous survivor in working towards a day where we can live and thrive in a peaceful community. In short, the bravery and perseverance that our survivors demonstrate each day is an inspiration to myself and an inspiration to us all. Thank you for that. May this holiday season brings you new, joyous experiences that you will cherish as we cherish you, our survivors. God bless you all, and thank you.
Around the country, families come together over the holidays, while loved ones of victims of homicide visit cemeteries, decorate grave sites, and relive their trauma and loss. We mourn with you, and we celebrate that life. For over 25 years, the Institute has been spreading peace and love. I've often heard Mayor Walsh say that he loves to brag about the work that the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute does around the state, but more importantly, that its home is in Dorchester. It has been my pleasure to pick up his standard and work with my colleagues in the House to secure funding for the Institute. To Tina and the team, I appreciate all that you do to make our communities better. It is incumbent upon all of us to do more for our young people, and that's what I strive to do every day. Thank you and welcome.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us on our annual Survivors of Homicide Victims Awareness Month opening ceremony. I just want you all to take a second and just give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you for being here and joining in this community event. Thank you for joining us in this space. My name is Chukwuemeka Oswago. I'm the Training and Events Coordinator here at the Peace Institute, at the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute. And I would like to open this event off by welcoming up Donald Osgood to do our opening prayer.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, BJ. My name is Donald Osgood Sr. I am the Senior Program Manager for the NTT Trauma Network Incident Management at the Public Health Commission. Formerly, I actually worked at the Louis D. Brown for 2 years, so that's my family. And as we open up this month of Survivors Awareness Month, I just want to open up in prayer. You know, everything we should do by prayer and supplication. So if we just have a moment. Father in heaven, we first thank you we give thanks this day for an opportunity to do what we do and to support the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute in their fundraising efforts, but also the countless families who lost loved ones to homicide. And Father, my prayer today is that you would bring a supernatural healing to every family who's been impacted over the years, that we won't do this in the next 20 years or the next 30 years, but the healing would be the beginning today. Bless everyone who is a part of the network, every family, especially Louis D. Brown Peace Institute and all who work there, Lord. I pray that you will give them continued strength to fulfill their destiny in this work. For your glory, in Jesus' name, amen. God bless you.
Thank you, Donald. Thank you for that. Next up, we're going to be welcoming Danielle Bennett up to the front and center stage. She's going to give us our welcome address.
Thank you, Donald, for the opening prayer, and thank you, BJ, for the introduction. Welcome to the 20th Annual Survivors of Homicide Victims Awareness Month. It is a pleasure and truly an honor to be here with you this afternoon. Typically, we would be laughing, snapping pics, eating breakfast, and sipping coffee in front of the grand staircase at our State House, pleasantly greeted by Senator Nick Collins. Woo child, what a year it has been. This pandemic. COVID-19 has swept in and taken lives we love so dearly. Miss Lola Alexander of Mothers for Justice and Equality, and our Louis D. Brown Peace Institute matriarch, Zoila Wedboy. If you are not already doing so, please wrap yourself in your own arms, take a deep breath, let it out, and bask in the moment of being present today. We as survivors have been brought together by one commonality. Someone we love is no longer here. Someone we love lost his or her life at the hands of another. Someone we love now only lives within our hearts. And we are still here. Shout out Michael McDonald. I always think of our writing workshop that he facilitates when I say those words. We come together each year, not to mourn loss, but to celebrate the bond that we have been tied into as a network of survivors. We honor you. We are a small, powerful house on Christopher Street in Fields Corner that feels like a giant castle filled with love, unity, faith, hope, courage, justice, and forgiveness. That comes from our survivors. You may come to us for support, and we could not do this without you. You guys give us the strength to go on every day. This month was started 20 years ago on the backs of women who pulled themselves together after the loss of their children and decided to stand united and turn their pain into purpose and power so that we can transform society's response to homicide, so that all families, regardless of circumstances, will be treated and served with nothing less than dignity and compassion. We take this time to showcase the beautiful and rich work of survivors throughout the Commonwealth, not just Boston. We see, hear, and love you all for taking on the roles and leading within your own communities, from the western parts of the state to the North Shore, Cape and Islands, Randolph and Brockton, South Shore through southeastern Massachusetts. Let's not forget our sisters and brothers in the U.S. Virgin Islands, New Mexico, Connecticut, just to name a few, who celebrate this month. That in and of itself is a reason to celebrate. A nationwide Survivors of Homicide Victims network. And it is my most humbling honor to serve as your network coordinator. Today, we also celebrate and uplift survivors who within the last year during this pandemic have stepped up and stepped outside of themselves, shoving aside their own uncertainty and anxieties about what's coming next, opening their hearts, fighting back tears, and suppressing trauma to continue to serve their communities. We honor survivors and providers with the Inform, Influence, Impact Awards for holding space, direct services, and advocating for change in policy and peacemaking efforts. We all know that survivorship is not a one-size-fits-all, and we are still one network. And it is my honor to award Alexis Smith, Ruth Rollins, Tanoy Toy Burton with the Inform, Influence, Impact Award for their selfless work. And if you have not already watched them share their story to hear the why they do what they do, please check them out on our Facebook page and website. You will hear what they have been up to in their interviews. And I want to thank you, ladies, for sharing with me who you are and letting me into a little piece of you. I would like to thank our elected officials who opened us up in ceremony with the messages of encouragement and recognition. And you can see them again after ceremony on our social media and website. You will also hear from our Massachusetts Attorney General, Maura Healey, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, 5th Suffolk State Rep Liz Miranda, 13th Suffolk State Rep Dan Hunt, and our very own founder, president, and CEO, Chaplain Clementina Sherry. And even though we're not there, we will still feel that love and welcome by our Senator Nick Collins. Thank you, and enjoy the ceremony.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you so much. That was a wonderful opening statement. Just thank you for all the work that you've done and put into this event, as well as all of our partners, 617 Media, Clementina Sherry, et cetera, so on and so forth, Donald. Just wanted to start off by just saying thank you, because this event would have not been possible without you all. Our next speaker is a very special speaker. We have next Senator Nick Collins.
Hi, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Nick Collins and I'm the state senator for the 1st Suffolk District. which includes Dorchester, Mattapan, Hyde Park, and South Boston. I want to first thank the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute for inviting me to join you today and for all of the work that you've done to bring about justice to families of victims of homicide, and for the work to change our system, moving towards a more fair and just criminal justice system, and a system that supports the families of victims of homicide. Want to congratulate the broader community of victims of homicide for 20 years of advocacy, bring about awareness, not just to the pain that's been suffered, but also of the important work that's been done, and it continues to be done, and it needs to be done. As a family member of somebody that we lost as a victim of senseless violence over 15 years ago, my cousin John, who was like a brother, I can tell you I'm close to that pain myself. I think often about my Aunt Mary, who lost her son 15 years ago, but also about a decade later, my Uncle Matt, to a broken heart from his grief. And think about how difficult it is to bring about and summon the energy, passion, and compassion for others after such great loss personally. And I really just want to say kudos to all of the advocates that are working towards that end. In particular, someone that we recognize this year with the Inform, Influence, and Impact Award, Miss Alexa Smith, in honor of her son Amin, who we lost, an aspiring artist and athlete. Reminds me a lot of my cousin John, very similar in terms of their interests and pursuits that we all lost too soon. I'm proud to say that in the work that we continue to do as a partner with the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute, just this week in the Senate budget, we were able to appropriate $200,000 in this year's fiscal year budget to support the efforts that the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute is embarked on this year to bring about that kind of change and support. So really just honored to be with you as a senator for this district and as someone I count among the family of victims of homicide, and that the work continues together. And I want to thank again Tina Sherry and her organization for bringing us together in a very difficult year, a year that can bring us apart, and that through our virtual efforts and their virtual efforts, we've been able to stay connected. So that's very important, and I'm thinking about that this Thanksgiving year. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and God bless.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? My name is Alexis Smith. I wanted to say thank you so much to Louis D. Brown for my my beautiful Inform and Impact and Influence Award, for all of the work that I've been doing in the community. I'm really very serious about the work that I do. I want to save lives, and I want to help families to not go through the pain that I am dealing with in this current moment. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, both of you for speaking. Next up, we have another very special guest. We have Attorney General Mara Healy joining us. Thank you.
I'm sorry we can't all be together in person today, but I'm thankful for this opportunity to honor the memory of loved ones and to recognize the strength and resilience of the survivor community. I want to thank those who work day in and day out to support this community of survivors. Tina and the entire team at the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute, the victim witness advocates, including those from my office. Thank you for all of your tireless and passionate advocacy on behalf of victims and survivors across our state. And most importantly, I'd like to thank all the survivors here today for your bravery, Your courage, your grace in the face of tragedy is truly an inspiration. Together we share the responsibility of honoring those family members and friends we've lost to ensure that their lives are not defined by their last moments. Please know you will always have a partner in me and the Attorney General's office. The advocates from our Victim Compensation and Assistance Division are here to support you. The division works closely with the Peace Institute staff and funeral home directors to assist families during the most difficult times, the aftermath of the loss of a loved one. With recent changes to the law, the division is now better able to compensate for funeral and burial expenses in a timely fashion, ensuring that families can provide a final resting place of honor and dignity without the financial burden of those costs. We come together today with shared hope and optimism that one day there will be no more violence, that one day there will be no more senseless loss. The dedication, power, and strength shared by all of you in this space is essential to working toward that day. And I'm so honored to be able to stand with you.
Thank you so much. Honestly, all of these words coming together and culminating for a moment like this, bringing together hope as well as action as well as celebration. I think that really exemplifies what this month and this event in particular is supposed to be about. Coming together and not only remembering the lost ones that we have, but also celebrating their lives and the impact that they've had on every one of us. We're going to be moving next into our legislative remarks. And first, we have Representative Liz Miranda.
Good evening, friends of the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute. My name is Liz Miranda, and I have the honor of not only serving as a state representative of the 5th Suffolk District representing parts of Roxbury and Dorchester, but the huge honor tonight to present the Inform, Influence, and Impact Award to Ruth Rollins of the We Are Better Together Warren Daniel Hairston Project. I met Ruth many moons ago while we both worked on Operation Lipstick. Her candor, her truth, her vulnerability, her honesty struck me as a woman who was healing through her pain of losing her son to gun violence and also dealing with the pain of losing another son to incarceration. And that story struck with me, not only because I was from Roxbury, but because I would later lose my brother to gun violence, but I had already lost my father, my brother to deportation and incarceration, and another brother also to the DOC system here in Massachusetts. I knew all too well, like she did, that we were losing young people on both sides of the coin. Her work with We Are Better Together has done amazing things. Not only this summer, opening up her home and office to the new healing circles and work that she's going to do together with all the phenomenal women of We Are Better Together, but the work that she's done to come to the State House and speak on panels and share the dichotomy and the experiences of people in our community. Serving food, giving out toiletries and gift cards to people in need all summer long. See, it's very easy to turn and hide when you're going through something painful in your life, when you're going through trauma after trauma, when you're ashamed of things, when you're hurting because of things. But Ruth did none of those things. Instead, she kept her foot on the gas, and she kept providing a space for women to heal and deal and communicate and build together. So to you, Ruthie, I just want to say that I always got your back. I know I'm a little busy right now trying to fight all these fights at the State House, but I want you to know that I see you. You are worthy. You are enough. And congratulations. We all love you. Boston is a better place. We are better women. And the Commonwealth of Massachusetts could not do this work without you.
Hello. I'm sorry, Ruth Rollins. Your microphone is muted. We haven't had the opportunity to hear you speak yet.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
This threw me off. Yeah, okay. So, hi, everyone. My name is Ruth Rollins, and it's truly an honor to receive the Influence Award from the Peace Institute. This is a beautiful award. I don't know if you guys could see it, but it's engraved and it's beautiful. Thank you, Liz, and I love you dearly. My name is Ruth Rollins. I am the founder and CEO of We Are Better Together. And I want to thank Tina Cherry and Daniel Bennett and the entire Peace Institute for recognizing the work that We Are Better Together is doing in the community. It is an honor to receive this award during Survivors of Homicide Victim Month. This nonprofit was started because of the tragic loss of my son, Warren Daniel Hairston, still to an unsolved homicide, and also the loss of my son that was due to incarceration. But we stay together because of the passion, love, and sisterhood. And I want to say a special thank you and love you to all our Survivor Network family. We Are Better Together supports women and girls impacted by violence and incarceration. In this line of work, it is important to understand the intersectionality of how violence impacts individuals in our communities. During the early stages of COVID-19, We Are Better Together had to step up. The community we serve, women of color and their families, were hit the hardest. It is no secret that violence is a symptom of poverty. We are working on bettering the quality of life of our people. Proper housing, access to food, and adequate employment. We Are Better Together provided rental assistance, utilities assistance, food support, even transportation assistance to essential workers. These issues boiled over during COVID, and we look to continue this work. One may be impacted by gun violence, then causes housing instability that causes trauma with children, causing fear and uncertainty. This is the time of togetherness and community has allowed us to overcome obstacles, especially in the face of COVID. We came together as community and overcame. This is the time to address and prioritize the undeserved community, building off of the energy and the moment of this new administration and the feeling that we can accomplish anything we set our mind to. By us, for us. We must prioritize affordable and emergency housing for families that are impacted by community harm, better reentry and recovery services, among many other things. It is time for us to advocate for change. So we desperately need for survivors to break the cycle of violence. On behalf of We Are Better Together, we thank you, Tina Cherry. Thank you for paving the way for so many of us, to helping us turn our pain into purpose. And I thank you, and I say God bless to everyone. Thank you.
Just want to say thank you for those powerful, powerful words. It's hard to come up here in this public setting and really put your heart in front of everybody, for everyone to be able to step into how you're feeling and step into what you're saying. So I just want to again say thank you for those words you just shared with us. Next, we will be transitioning to another legislative remark from Representative Dan Hunt.
It is now my pleasure to present, virtually, the Inform, Influence, Impact Award to Toy Burton. Toy lost her sister Dee Dee in 1986 to suicide. A few years ago, someone approached Toy for guidance and support. Toy responded, not only to that individual, but to the larger community. She founded Dee Dee's Cry in her sister's memory. The organization provides support, resources, education of the importance of mental health awareness, wellness. As a society, we know that there exists a dearth of resources for mental illness. This is especially true in communities of color. Through training, support groups, and community events, Dee Dee's Cry is working to break down the stigma of suicide and showing that it's okay to ask for help. They provide a safe space that's saving lives. Toy, for this and the many, many things you do in our community, I'm honored to present this award to you. Congratulations.
Oh man, thank you so much. I don't even know what to say. Man, Booth, you just got me to tears. Tina and the Peace Institute, thank you so much for this award. I truly appreciate it. When we don't do this work for recognition, but it does feel good to be recognized. I did start Dee Dee's Cry after seeing that there was a gap when it came to mental health awareness and suicide prevention in communities of color. And my sister died by suicide in 1986, and I also had my own suicide attempts and mental health struggles throughout my life. And so starting Dee Dee's Cry, it was just something that I felt like just needed to be done. And I just want to say thank you to Tina and the Peace Institute for being there. I started volunteering with the Peace Institute years ago. And, starting Dee Dee's Cry was never on my radar. And unfortunately, my stepson, Chaz Burton, was murdered in Mattapan. So I definitely want to thank the Peace Institute for being there for my family at that time. But Dee Dee's Cry, like I said, we're here to bring awareness about mental health and suicide prevention in communities of color. Right now, due to COVID, we have online events. Tomorrow we have Hair and Mental Health. As someone who has been dealing with hair loss for the past over 10 years, I know how it affects my mental health. So please join us as others will share their stories about mental health. And again, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for everybody at the Peace Institute for all the great work that you do. And I just appreciate you. Thank you.
I can honestly say, and I think this comes from not only my mouth, but the mouth of everybody else at the Peace Institute. When I say we want to say thank you, as much praise that you can shower upon the Peace Institute, we will just have to give it back to you tenfold, because what we do isn't possible without leaders like you stepping up and choosing to spread the message and spread the love around places that may be out of our reach. So I just want to say thank you, and I can tell that my coworkers and my my fellow people that I also work with are thinking and doing the same. Next, we have the reading of the proclamation from Representative Ayanna Presley.
Hello, family. I certainly do wish things were different and that we could be together physically in community. But I'm in Washington and grateful for the opportunity to join you virtually. I couldn't miss it. This is a time that I'm grateful for every year, where in the midst of people struggling with the holidays, with the anniversaries of their loved ones for whom they've been robbed of, we always come together and just embrace one another and just demonstrate unprecedented community and unprecedented love. And that's possible because of the women that are being celebrated and honored today, who are so deserving. Give them all the flowers. You know, it is very hard to be a visionary woman. And these women are all visionary women who have labored in love to make Survivors of Homicide Victims Awareness Month a reality. And moreover, because of their laboring in love on behalf of survivors, because they have been informing, influencing, and impactful to many on the journey to healing, especially when justice so often evades these families. I know there's so much work to be done, and 2020 has been a lot, but I do think it's important that we take stock of what we have accomplished together, that we do celebrate the resilience of our community, that we do celebrate our enduring love and sisterhood, and that we do thank these visionary women. They have been informative, they have been influential, they have been impactful, and have supported so many others in their healing journey, especially when justice so often evades our impacted families. And so I just want to say thank you and give you your flowers. Thank you, Ruth Rollins. Thank you, Toy Burton. Thank you, Alexis Smith, for standing firmly in the gap. Thank you for your inspiring examples. You are a source of healing and strength and hope for so many of us, myself included. You have all been leaders in community, and it is an honor to share this moment with you, albeit virtually. And so I do want to just take a few moments just to read the official proclamation, because that is only made possible because of the prayers, the blood, the sweat, the tears of Tina Cherry and Azara Mendez and so many others who made this possible. And so because of your advocacy, because of your laboring in love, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts formally recognizes November 20th through December 20th as Survivors of Homicide Victims Awareness Month. And listen, I'm still fighting that fight in Washington to make this a national recognition and observance. And so I look forward to our, in short order, having the opportunity to celebrate that as well. But I do want to just read some of the edicts from this proclamation because it is on the books, and that is a very big deal. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts proclaims November 20th through December 20th as Survivors of Homicide Victims Awareness Month, and urges all the citizens of the Commonwealth to take cognizance of this event and to participate fittingly in its observance. Given at the Executive Chamber in Boston this 20th day of November in the year 2020, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 244th. So again, congratulations and thank you to this evening's honorees. And again, thank you for making it possible for us to have this official designation and recognition every month. That is on the books in perpetuity. And that is because of Tina Cherry and Azara Mendez and the mothers of the movement locally who made it so. So God bless you all. Happy holidays and thank you.
Thank you so much. That was so wonderful. I just want to take a second, just round of applause for everyone that's spoken tonight. Round of applause for all of the award recipients. Round of applause for all of our esteemed representatives and elected officials. As this event starts to cool down and as this event starts to transition towards the conclusion, we just want to, again, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for just entering this space. That's literally all I can say. It's such a pleasure to be able to serve you guys. It's such a pleasure to be able to be here to do this with everyone collectively. I'm going to transition and give it over to my boss and honestly one of the best people that I know, period, Chaplain Clementina Sherry.
Ooh, thank you so much, BJ. Thank all of you. Ah, I have to collect myself. Powerful stories. Stories are never ending. We all have a story to tell, and no one's story is more important than the other. Ruthie, Alexis, Toy are three stories of over thousands and thousands and thousands of stories right here in our own backyard, across the state, across the country, and internationally. Thank you and congratulations to you. Thank you to our elected officials. Really, thank you. Whether we know we're talking about homicide, Survivors of Homicide Victims Awareness Month, suicide, overdose, and now COVID. Death is death is death is death. And our society still don't know how to deal with us. This is who we are, the center of healing, teaching, and learning. And next month will be 27 years since my oldest son, Louis, was killed. So the Peace Institute understands that to make lasting change, we must also work with our legislators to inform, influence, and impact policy that is effective, equitable, and sustainable. We have been active for several years, and we are an integral part of creating and passing the Criminal Justice Reform Bill and the Gun Control Bill in Massachusetts. We are also called regularly to testify and advocate for key issues, including speaking out against the death penalty. Yes, I said it, against the death penalty right here in our state. We have also created the organizations like the Massachusetts Survivors of Homicide Victims Network, which is these amazing women that are here and which Danielle coordinates. And also the Massachusetts Serving Survivors of Massachusetts Providers Network. Because without the providers that are mandated to do this work, according to the Massachusetts Victims Bill of Rights, we couldn't do this by ourselves. So we work together. Our most recent success is the amendment of the Victim Compensation Bill legislation drafted in 2017. This legislation ensures that families of murdered victims cannot be denied reimbursement for mother's funeral and burial expenses, regardless of the circumstances surrounding their loved ones murdered, including those victims who were killed by police-involved shooting. That was then. This is now. We are ready to make this a more permanent and consistent part of the annual work of the Peace Institute and to invest more time and resources in strategic engagement in policy making and advocacy. We are honored to really work and be guided by what I call our legislative liaison. I know that's not her title, Diane Murad from the Ponset Strategies. She's an expertise in lobbying and advocacy, and we are honored to have her really working with us to develop this plan. To guide us as we work with our legislators to really create policies that are sustainable. This work is critical to a long-term goal to change how society responds to families of homicide victims that include victims of gun violence, that include victims of gang violence, and that includes those victims that were killed by police and victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, when they end in homicide. Homicide is a homicide, regardless of how the victim was killed, because it is the families that are left behind. And that's what we want to be able to develop and to work to make sure that society recognizes the families that are left behind. So I want to share with you some points that we have developed as our priority investment. I'm not going to share all of them. just some so that you have a glimpse as to where we are going. One, we want to work on state legislative advocacy to get bills enacted into law and to defeat, modify, or amend adverse legislation. We don't want society pitting victims and offenders' families against each other because within our community, we are one and the same. We also want a legislative tracking to keep the Peace Institute up to date on any legislation efforts to amend or change existing laws, and really to track legislative, regulatory, and other initiatives that would impact the Peace Institute community. We're looking in terms of advocacy with key legislators on the budgetary priorities and resources needed for the Peace Institute. We know and we thank our senator, the Senate, and the House for again including the Peace Institute in the line item of $200,000, which $100,000 is for our services and $100,000 is where we give out in many grants to the survivors community. We want to develop and activate overall municipal engagement with other municipalities where the Peace Institute can transfer our knowledge, have a presence. I need you to hear me well. I didn't say replicate the Peace Institute. We have enough to do in Boston. Transfer our knowledge. So all municipalities, cities, and towns that are dealing with homicide can respond to families effective and equitable using our Survivors Burial and Resource Guide. It has been translated in Spanish and in Cantonese. As you heard our Congresswoman Presley talk about developing this national movement at the federal level, we are still working with that, and you will hear more about that. We also want to implement the peace curriculum in the schools, whether it's the public schools in Boston, out of Boston. When we started this organization, that was our goal, to teach the value of peace through literature and community service learning. Our curriculum is the first in the country that includes the teaching of loss and grief as part of our children's social skills. In 1996, our Attorney General Janet Reno cited the peace curriculum as one of the programs that contributed to the reduction of juvenile crime in the city of Boston in a 26 report entitled One City Success Stories. We also want to work with our legislators on a statewide protocols for a universal approach to respond to families of homicide victims. We want to make sure that it's not depending on who you know in government. What's the background of your family that you will then be supported? So we're going to hear more on that. There's lots more that we want, but I want to really bring it down narrowly to a lot of the issues that our families are facing today. We want to review and amend the housing safety protocol, public safety, whatever it's called, we're not sure yet. We have been working with the Department of Neighborhood Development, the Boston Housing Authority, our Boston Public Health Commission, Neighbor Trauma Response Team, to really look at how do we make sure families are considered priority when their loved one is murdered and they don't feel safe, whether it's their house, their streets, or the community that they're in. Community violence is not a priority when we're talking about safety and housing relocation. We know they have the DA's Witness Protection Program. That's another conversation and another policy that we're going to deal with. For now, I really want to stay focused. So as we move forward, we are clear as to how we're moving. We have had great success. We are now working again with the Elizabeth Stone House that is really looking at what it is and how they can include survivors of homicide victims. And we want to also work to make sure whatever funding they need, we are going to work to push that forward. But I want to bring it even closer to home as to why we want to. One example is right here, right now in front of us with our awardee, Alexis Smith. You heard Alexis' son Amin was killed. Before he was killed, Alexis feared for her son's life and sent him to live with a relative until she could seek support, safety around move because her son was receiving death threat. I know many of you can relate to Alexis. Of course, she did what any mother would do: knock on doors, call people, make the case, find a place where my son can feel safe. But we know society really doesn't care about us. So we've got to do it ourselves. We know, we hear communities of colors are disproportionately impacted, and yet there's no real sustainable change to show that they care about us. But we do care about us. No support was given. We're not going to name agencies because this is not about shaming and blaming. No support was given. And within 24 hours of Amin coming back home, he was killed. And so here we are today. So Alexis' vision is to make Amin's law. Legislators, if you're hearing me, we're going to be knocking at your door. Alexis lives in Senator Collins and Representative Hunt's office. But this is about all of us. Making Amin's law a reality in order to assist other families who are in the same situation that she is in, to make sure that their children do not end up dead because society does not recognize families in urban settings, families of homicide victims. So we don't want to wait till another mother child is dead. We know who the young men are. We know. That's why working with We Are Better Together. That's why working with Toy and Didi's Cry, suicide, homicide, incarceration. We are in it for the long haul, but it's about impacting lasting change. Now more than ever, I'm done, I'm closing so that we can go back to our daily lives. Now more than ever, we collectively must continue to work in unity, to show up, to step up for one another in love, unity, faith, hope, courage, justice, and in forgiveness. Thank you very much. And I leave you in God's peace.
Thank you so much. Just thank you for that powerful message. You know, this work that everyone is doing, it shouldn't fall upon deaf ears. This work is not done because it's hard. We don't do this work because it's hard. This work is done because it's the right thing to do. With our closing prayer, we have Reverend Daly.
Can anyone hear me okay? Thumbs up? Well, first I want to thank the leader, my sister in the co-laborer in this work, Chaplain Clementina M. Sherry. And Daniel, thank you for considering me to do this closing prayer. And to the family staff of the Peace Institute, love you. Everything has been said and done. As I just close out this part of the ceremony, I just want to take a moment to remember those family members of the Peace Institute that have gone on to glory. Oswela, we're born Lola Alexander, John Ramsey, and my mom, Dora Viola Daly, and my father, John Graves, and to all the survivors, let's continue to look to the hills which cometh our help. And God, we thank you for everything that's been said and done. We pray that you will continue to guide us, to strengthen us for this work. You know what we need even before a word is formed on our lips. So hear our prayers and help us to continue to unite together to fight this good fight, this needed fight, as we all partner together to hold each other, to love each other, and to encourage each other. So thank you, God, for this moment in time. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you so much, Reverend Daly. That brings us to the end of our programming. That brings us to the end of this event. And I would just like to say thank you to everyone for joining us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for entering this space. Thank you for opening your hearts. Thank you for opening your hands and your minds. And thank you for just being here to listen to all of these wonderful speakers we had today. I want to give a special shout out to all of our state representatives and all of our elected officials that came out and spoke to us. I want to thank all the awardees. Thank you for all the work you've done in this community. Thank you for bringing your expertise and your different perspectives into this challenge that we have of trying to help reinvigorate our community and help bring people out of the holes that they have just been left in through loss from loved ones. This Survivors of Homicide Victims Awareness Month is one to remember. This is going to be a year to remember because this is the year when we draw upon so many different aspects of our community, so many different brains and minds and wonderful experiences, and bring them together so we can continue to propel and push these communities forward. So I just want to close out again by saying thank you. Thank you everyone that came here to participate with us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for lending your ears. That's all I have to say. Thank you. Just thank you.